I created G-plans out of nutrition frustration. One day during nutrition studies at Duke University, we came across a revelation. We discovered that everyone has a completely unique metabolic structure and type. Eating a generic diet program will not get you the results you want, and you will continue on a path of yo-yo dieting forever. Ultimately, sustainable food programs are built within your own specific metabolic template.
I eat what Dr. G tells me to eat for my metabolic type. I don't call this program a diet because I eat more than on other programs.
Hello, welcome to today's Nutrition Masterclass. So glad you've joined me today. Of course, my name is Savannah. I'm a nutritionist here at G-Plans. And of course, every week here on our YouTube channel, we have another new topic for our live nutrition masterclasses. So again, so glad you're here. Know that since these masterclasses, of course, they're live, you can feel free, go ahead and add any questions, comments that you may have throughout our presentation today in the chat box, and I will take those questions at the end today. Today's topic is all about how to stay on track when you have a busy schedule. So that's going to happen to all of us at some point. We maybe have a little more things we're juggling than others. So definitely going to be some really helpful tips and things to consider when you are busier, how to stay on track, what to prioritize. So we're going to dive right in. I see Cindy, saying hello. Good to see you there. We're going to get started here in just a second. So yeah, as a reminder, add any questions in the chat box today, and we'll definitely take those at the end of today's presentation. Okay. All right, so the topic for today is how to stay on track with a busy schedule. Okay. So this is our table of contents for today and what we'll be covering. First off, we're going to start with an introduction, staying on track when you're busy. We're going to talk about planning it out, how important that is. I'm going to ask you a question and let me know, what is your biggest challenge? Is it your schedule? Maybe it's something else. Next, we're going to talk about keeping it simple and how that is so key when you're busy to stick to the basics. Lastly, we're going to finish up talking about sticking to your routine, and then we'll have our tip of the week, and we'll finish up with our weekly special promotion. All right, and so you'll see here on the screen, I do have my email address listed. So this will also be added for you today in our chat box. So if you have a question, something maybe you don't want to add in the chat box today, that is fine. Please also feel free to reach out to me through email personally as well. Okay, so staying on track when you're busy. How do you do that? Has your busy schedule ever held you back from sticking to your meal plan in the past? Let me know in the chat box that too. Is that something you experience often? Is your schedule kind of conflicting, and is that what holds you back? Time can definitely be a challenge when you are working to develop new habits. So important. But now it also seems that really we're busier than ever. Today, we're going to discuss ways that you can stick to your healthy eating plan despite your schedule being busier. Healthy eating definitely doesn't have to be time consuming, but again, anytime we're working to build a new routine, it can take a little bit of time and effort up front in order to establish those new habits. Once the new habits are then ingrained in your routine, you can then just go with the flow. So just a reminder there, of course, there's a lot of tips and adjustments you can make to make healthy eating way less time consuming. But I do want to stress too, of course, we need to focus on building those new healthy habits, building a good routine, And that can take a little bit of time and a little bit of adjustment initially, but of course, over time, the longer you stick with that routine, the easier it's going to get to. Okay, so first things first, so essential, plan it out. When you have a busy schedule, again, it's so essential to plan ahead. Without having a plan in place, you will not be able to stick to your meal plan and your healthy eating choices. Even if you have the best of intentions, you might kind of think through in your head what you'll do that day. You might find yourself at times still eating inconsistently. Maybe you skip some meals that can lead you to eating larger portions later on, or you might find that you're grabbing things that are not the best choices as well. Planning ahead, it's going to look a little different depending on your schedule and what works best for you. So you need to kind of experiment. Again, find what works for you. You might choose to maybe plan your recipes out for the week ahead on the weekends. If you're on the G Plans app, you can kind of sit down, maybe swap your meals out, decide what you'd like to have. Or you could also do something like batch cooking ingredients. So cooking like your sweet potatoes, broccoli, maybe chicken breast, and having those on hand for your week. Or you can also look at a different approach and maybe prep for a couple days at a time throughout your week also. So important to find what's going to work best for you, what's going to work best for your schedule, and do the best you can to really stick with it. Over time, this will become part of a weekly routine. So again, try to kind of experiment, find what works for you, and then try to lock that in and kind of keep those same days, same times for your planning and prepping each week. Remember, again, there's no one size fits all here. Definitely experiment. Some people enjoy maybe preparing multiple servings of a meal at once, so it's just ready to go, saving it for later, preparing single ingredients for use throughout the week, or doing things like go ahead and chop up all your fruits and veggies, have them washed in the fridge so they're ready to go to grab for the week ahead. So let me know in the chat box here today, what is your biggest challenge? Is it scheduling time? Is it something else? Please let me know. Share with me today what your biggest challenge is, and I'd love to chat with you a little bit about that at the end of our presentation today. All right, so next up is keep it simple. The busier you are, the more important it is to keep things simple. If you have a really busy week ahead, it's probably not the best time to maybe try out a few new recipes. Stick to the basics. Stick to the recipes that work for you. And this is also a really good time to try batch cooking. Again, we just talked a little bit about that. That might be cooking a larger portion of a lean protein source, a vegetable, and a carb source. You can then use those ingredients in various different recipes throughout the week. So that enables you to still have some variety, kind of mix it up a little bit, add different spices to your various recipes while using those same ingredients. Utilize quick choices when you're short on time as well. This could look like overnight oats for breakfast. You can just grab them, you're ready. Maybe hard-boiled eggs and fruit. A simple wrap or sandwich for lunch, maybe an easy salad too, and an oven roasted sheet pan meal for dinner where you just throw it all in the oven and go. Also remember to repeat meals throughout your week as well to keep it a little easier. A couple of really good things you can do when you're busier on the G Plans app as well is if you go to swap a recipe, the next thing you'll see on that screen is there will be a button that says filter. you can click on that, and we're going to give you some categories to kind of narrow things down. So we have a 30 minutes or less category. We have a no cooking category. These are some really good options. You'll just click on those, and then we'll give you those meals that are going to be a little faster. So that's another great choice to look at. And then another thing too, like we talked about planning it out, you might want to sit down on the weekend, make those swaps, plan out your meals for the week ahead, kind of repeat some meals, and then you're good to go. All right, so next up is stick to your routine. We know this is all about building those healthy habits that are sustainable for us. So creating a routine that works the best for you individually is so important, so that you know when you can shop for groceries, plan and prep your meals for the week. Find what works best for you on that consistent basis and stick with it. You might also try something called habit stacking. This means to introduce a habit that you're working to build immediately after another habit that's already established in your routine. So I usually like to use the idea of making coffee in the morning. That's usually a routine that if you drink coffee, it's pretty ingrained in your routine there. So building on something immediately after, it could look like you fix your coffee in the morning and then you prepare your lunch for your workday ahead. So that's habit stacking, something you already have in your routine. Go ahead and add that new habit immediately after. Rather than beginning by aiming to prep maybe every single meal for the week ahead, again, it's important to take those baby steps as you work on building new habits. Start maybe by prepping one meal each week or a few days at a time. Again, this will depend on what you feel ready for. So make sure you're setting a goal that's very attainable and realistic for you. And then you can always build from there. All right, and so my tip of the week for today is all about today's presentation topic as well. So one really helpful tip is if you are getting started with meal prepping, like I mentioned, you want to probably start a little smaller. Maybe start with just preparing your lunches each week, each day for the week. Now, in the meantime, as you're getting the hang of this, you're building these new habits, a meal prep service can be a really good tool to utilize as you're starting meal prepping. Again, you can start small, start by making a few meals, and then use a meal prep service to kind of supplement that, to keep things a little bit easier on you as you begin. And then the more you get comfortable with that, you might start to get more and more comfortable and feel that you don't need that anymore. But again, this is a great way to get started, make things a little less stressful, much easier on you. We do, of course, here at G Plans have a great meal delivery service we partner with Eat Fit Go meals. So definitely something to look into there. Few other additional tips too. So aside from already prepared meals, so finding some already prepared ingredients is another great way to save time. Of course, at the grocery store, you can find pre-cut fruits and vegetables, and the frozen options are always usually a really good choice too. So when it comes to vegetables, of course, frozen veggies, in bagged frozen veggies, they are already cut and washed. So they're really ready to go, very quick and easy to use, and you have them in the freezer so they're there when you need them. So stocking up on a few essentials like that, another really good way to make things a little bit easier, cut a little bit of time. All right, and so very last thing for today's presentation is our special promotion this week. This is a really great one to take advantage of. This is 50% off our lean supplement. We will have this promotion emailed to you after this live today. So definitely check that out in your email. Take advantage of this offer. Again, a really good time to lock in that rate. Go ahead and get that 50% off. And yes, the lean supplement's a great add-on and good way to give yourself a little metabolic boost and really balance your blood sugar levels as well. So definitely be sure to check that out. This does bring me here today to the end of our presentation. So if you have any other questions or comments, please feel free, go ahead and add those to the chat box at this time. All right. See a few comments here. Okay. All right. See here. Okay. Hello to Daisy. I see Nancy said a big challenge for her is unforeseen events. Absolutely. That's why it's so important to, obviously, things are going to happen. Life happens, and we are going to fall off track with our routines at some point. That's natural. Of course, planning ahead is essential, so we can try the best we can to plan around that and maybe have like a backup option. Have a few other choices on hand to keep us going if something does happen. But again, it's going to happen sometimes. I like to always say to do the best you can to learn from that experience. What happened to lead to for you to fall off track? Is there anything that you could have done differently the next time around? So really use that as a learning experience and then just focus on setting those goals, doing what you can to get right back on track with your routine afterwards. All right, Samara says, I do not like cooking. That's another one. So actually in our G Plans app, I would recommend definitely using that filter button, looking for those no cook, minimal cooking options. I would say too though, Samara, of course, there is a certain amount of food preparation that when you're sticking to a meal plan, probably just a little bit is kind of essential, knowing that you can still prepare some meals on your own at home. So stick to those easier options though, maybe the 15 minutes or less choices. That's going to keep things a lot more simple for you. All right. Kara said, I do pretty well when I'm working from home, but when I have to go into the office, I don't like taking meals with me. I prefer to eat out with coworkers, which makes eating healthy challenging. Absolutely. So the big challenge with eating out, of course, on G Plans, we do say we want you to be flexible. So of course, when you're too rigid on a plan, that can also lead you to falling off track. We want this to be sustainable. So allow yourself some flexibility. However, eating out maybe every day is really going to put a dent in your progress. I say that because even with the best intentions, a lot of restaurants, even if it's a healthy choice, we don't know the exact macronutrient and calorie breakdown. A lot of restaurants will add, of course, more oils, more sodium, different things that really can throw the calories off a bit, even if it's seems a healthy choice. So I would say do the best you can to try to minimize how often you're eating out as best you can. And you might want to also check in a previous presentation we do have here on the YouTube for some tips for how to eat out and make healthier choices. So scroll down here on the live page, you'll find that presentation as well. All right. Oh, and Loretta had a great tip for Karis as well. She said, go ahead and take leftovers from dinner from the night before. That's a great idea. That's another way to meal prep. So you're not really, of course, prepping days ahead of time. Again, find what works for you. So maybe make 2 portions. If you're just cooking for yourself, make sure you're making a little larger portion, and then you can just carry that to lunch tomorrow as well. All right. Rebecca says it's a challenge. She does cook for one person for herself. So would say again to Rebecca, if you are a member of G Plans, I think that filter option might help you out a little bit too. Look for some of those more minimal cooking requirements, make things a little easier, and it might be helpful for you too if you're making a little larger portion. Again, maybe make a little bit larger portion, kind of save those leftovers for the next day. All right. Hello, Diane. Good to see you checking in here. Okay. Nancy says, does the meal prep service you offer come with the plan, or do you have to order them? Good question, Nancy. Yes, that is an add-on to our plan. So of course you'll sign up for our membership. That's another option. Eat Fit Go delivery meals, that is a separate subscription. You get it. You do have a choice to definitely opt out of those if you do not need them. When you do sign up, you will be signed up for a couple weeks to get started, and then you can choose later on if you'd like to discontinue. All right. Diane said some of the plans do not tell you how much to eat. Today I'm making beef and mushroom stew. How do you know how much to eat? Diane, those portion sizes, they should definitely be coming up in your plan. So of course, when you do make maybe a swap to your plan, if you click on swap recipe and then you click on that recipe alone, you're not going to see the portion sizes at first until you actually add it to your plan, because of course those portions will be adjusted for you. So add that, make sure you're adding it into your plan, and then those portions should be available for you there. Carmen said, yes, leftovers and meal prep is the best way to have lunch the next day. I love that. Sounds like that works for a lot of people, and that's a really, really great way to do it. Keeps it simple. All right. And then used here, I just used a recipe for the tuna salad pita on plan. I didn't have a pita, so I used a carb balanced tortilla. Couldn't tell if one serving was the whole thing. That's a good question too. So keep an eye on those calories basically for those portions of the wraps, the tortillas we have on our plan. So of course you can also swap ingredients. So if you don't have a pita, you can also click on that pita, click swap for that ingredient, and then we're gonna give you some other choices to add in instead. So we have a lot of different options, and we'll probably have something that's a little closer or to the tortilla that you do have. So I like to say, yeah, look through those options, see how many calories you have, and read that label that you have, and then try to match it up as closely as possible. All right, Elaine said, can you duplicate the same meal for 2 days in a row? Absolutely, you can definitely do that. So this is a good option for meal planning for the week. When you do your check-in, you've done your grocery shopping for the week. Likely before you do your grocery shopping, you might want to sit down, go ahead and make your swaps for the week ahead. You can always swap, of course, if you get to a meal and you decide you'd like to make something different, you can do that. But you can also sit down on the weekend, maybe make those swaps for the whole week, kind of plan everything out. And with that being said, yeah, go ahead and maybe have the same lunches for a couple days, the same dinners for a couple days. Find what works best for you. You got it. And Diane said, yeah, having an issue. Let me know, Diane. Please email me, because I know we've talked before. Send me an email, and we will look into that a little bit deeper. I want to make sure everything's going smooth there. So send me an email. We'll figure that one out. All right. Well, great questions today. Hope this was a good helpful topic today with just an overview of kind of what to do when you have a busy schedule, how to stay on track. Y'all had some really great additions as well. I love the idea of having those leftovers for the next day. Of course, repeating meals, awesome thing to do too, keeping it simple. So please feel free, if I didn't get to your question today, if you have anything else, you definitely feel free to email me also. So you'll find my email there on in the chat box. And then I hope to see you again next week. So I had a request here. Please show my email again. My email is Savannah. That's SAVANNAH period Wilson at g-plans.com. So feel free. Yeah, go ahead and send me an email. Okay, and yeah, next week we'll be live Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, each Wednesday with another topic for our Nutrition Masterclass. So you can always join in. Please let me know what questions you have. We'll always be live, and we have a new topic every week. So I hope to see you again next Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you later.